त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितप्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। Pranams everyone. So in the last class we were talking about Vedas and Bhagavad Gita. What is the relationship between Vedas and Bhagavad Gita? And then we saw within Vedas there are two aspects to Vedas. One is Pravritti Lakshana, the other one is Nivritti Lakshana. And Pravritti Lakshana is basically defined as Samanya and Vishesha Dharma. And then we saw Nivritti Lakshana. Nivritti Lakshana is basically the sadhana, the jnana vichara or tattva vichara, the philosophy aspect of it. And we saw that this is the first part, the Pravritti Lakshana talked about religion and the Nivritti Lakshana talked about the philosophy. So Vedas can be split into Purva Bhaga and Antima Bhaga. The Purva Bhaga talks about Pravritti Lakshana, which is the Samanya and Vishesha Dharma. And then the Nivritti Lakshana talks about the sadhanas to attain that. The Nivritti Lakshana talks about the sadhanas to attain moksha. So the first part talks about the sadhanas to attain Artha Kama. The second part talks about the sadhanas to attain moksha. So this is Veda Sara. So Veda Sara basically talks about way of life and also the principles behind life. So if we talk about Pravritti Lakshana, it talks about what is right, what is wrong. And then in the Nivritti Lakshana, it talks about what is the absolute truth. Who am I? What is this life? It talks about, the Nivritti Lakshana talks about those aspects. So in the first, again to differentiate, another way to look at it is, the first part talks about dharma and adharma jnana. What is dharma, what is adharma, it will talk about. And then the second part will talk about nitya and anitya jnana. What is permanent and what is not permanent. Can I go directly to understand what is permanent and not permanent? Can I go directly into philosophy without going through the Pravritti Lakshana? The answer is no. One has to come to jnana only through dharma. So going through Pravritti Lakshana is necessary for us to understand what Nivritti Lakshana talks about. Without going through dharma, one will not be able to come to jnana. In fact, we say dharma akila mula, vedo dharma akila mula. Vedas are the root. I mean, Vedas contain dharma, and dharma is a root for everything. But then, when we talk about these Vedas, not all people have access to Vedas. Right? Even if there is access, not many are able to understand what is being discussed in the Vedas. Because we already saw what these Vedas are when we discussed Shastras in Introduction to Vedanta. So when we discussed Introduction to Vedanta, you would have seen Shastras. You can check out that lecture where we discussed about Vedas. So Vedas are vast and it's all unstructured. And to understand them is not easy. But what happens here is Bhagavad Gita is considered to be Veda Sara, because Bhagavad Gita talks about both dharma and jnana, which is both the Veda Purva Bhaga and Veda Anta Bhaga. Bhagavad Gita talks about how to lead our lives. It talks about what our duties are. In fact, it even goes to the level to say what we need to eat, how much time to sleep, what should be our attitude, what are the values that we need to cultivate, what are the things that we need to give up, how should we pray, how should we meditate. Everything is given in Bhagavad Gita. So it is structured, concise, as well as to the point. What is there in Vedas is also there in Bhagavad Gita. It also explains clearly in terms of how to handle dharma. To day-to-day lives, there are so many situations. How to handle dharma in those situations, Bhagavad Gita explains it to us. And not only this way of life, it also talks about vichara. It also contains the vichara. Vichara meaning the jnana yoga part, where we talk about who am I, who is Ishvara, what is this world, what are the relationship between this Veda, between this self, Ishvara and Jagat, this world. So in that sense, Bhagavad Gita is a Purna Shastra. And that's why Mahabharata itself is called as Panchamo Veda, Vedaha. It is the fifth Veda. Mahabharata is considered to be the fifth Veda. And if we read Gita, it gives us a clear understanding of both Dharma and Jnana. If we go just directly to Upanishad, it only gives Jnana. To understand Dharma, one has to read Vedas. Vedas are not easily accessible, and therefore Bhagavad Gita is the best text for us to understand what is Dharma. To cover on Vedas, just quickly, a quick few words about Veda. Of course, we have discussed this in Introduction to Vedanta series. Veda is also called as Shruti. It has been propagated from generation to generation only through listening. People listen, and then they repeated that, then they memorized that, and then they taught to the next generation. So it was never a written text for long. And that's why it's called as, whatever has been listened is called as Shruti. So Vedas are also called as Shruti. Where did the Vedas come from? It came from Ishvara. We do not agree on, some people talk about Rig Veda to be 5,000 years ago. Atharvana Veda probably came a little later. Because they probably look at written text availability and then trying to identify when the text was actually written. But then what we know is that it has been there from time immemorial. It is just when the world was created, if there was a creation, or whenever the world came into existence, the Vedas also came into existence. Because it was propagated verbally, there cannot be any evidence of age. We cannot give any evidence of the age of Vedas. We need to have Shraddha, that the Shastras are from Ishvara, and that Shastras cannot lie. And this Shraddha is an important attitude that we have to cultivate, without which this knowledge will not go into our intellect at all. Even if it goes into our intellect, it will not make a difference in the way we approach things in life. Shraddha, the attitude of trust, that I need to keep on Shastras, I need to keep on Guru, that attitude of trust I have to keep until whatever trust I have turns into knowledge. It will turn into knowledge definitely. We just need to keep the trust on ourselves, the trust on Shastras, and trust on Guru. So that is Vedas. Of course, Shastras contain not just Shrutis, it also contains Smriti, it also contains Smriti meaning remembered wisdom. Things that have been written by the Rishis based on what the Vedas have said. Based on the concepts found in Vedas, Rishis would have come out with their text. And these are not their own concepts. Every concept would be available in Vedas. And in that sense, we say Bhagavad Gita is a Smriti. Because it has been written by Rishi Vyasa based on whatever has been found in Vedas. We just now said Bhagavad Gita is a Sara, summary of Vedas. So in that sense, Bhagavad Gita can be also called as a Smriti. We know there are two Itihasas, right? Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana contains Dharma. Rama was Dharma personification. So whatever he did, we understood Dharma from Ramayana. Mahabharata has both Dharma as well as Jnana. It also talks about how to lead our life on a day-to-day basis, and it also tells us how to attain moksha. So as I said last week, Madhusudana Saraswati has come up with Gita Dhyana Slokas. So we will go into those Gita Dhyana Slokas. This is the normal sloka that I had been chanting in the beginning of the class. Today I had not chanted because we will be doing it now. So this is a sort of it gives an introduction to the whole Bhagavad Gita itself. These prayers are not part of Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita. It has not been written by Vyasa. It is written by a person called by a jnani called Madhusudana Saraswati, and he had given a commentary of Bhagavad Gita also. It is called as Gudhartha Deepika. Gudhartha Deepika. Deepika means lamp, and Gudhartha Deepika means a lamp which illumines the hidden and deeper meanings of Bhagavad Gita. So it is a very famous commentary. In fact, other acharyas have also written commentary on this commentary. And before starting this Gudhartha Deepika, Madhusudana Saraswati had written about 9 verses which are popular today, called as Gita Dhyana Slokas. And Dhyana Slokas, typically when we start anything, we start with a prayer. Because before starting, we know that any undertaking, we know it can have a lot of obstacles. So today we come to the class, next week there will be some obstacle. We will not be able to be regular to the classes, or even within the class, during the class there may be some disturbance. So there are possibilities of obstacles always. So generally we chant prayer to ward off those obstacles. So in this Gudhartha Deepika, he had given those 9 verses, and these 9 verses he offers Namaskara. He offers basically his salutations. He offers salutations to Mahabharata, the text Mahabharata. Then he offers Bhagavad Gita. Why Mahabharata? Only because of Mahabharata we got Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. So he offers Namaskaras to Mahabharata, he offers Namaskaras to Bhagavad Gita. Then he offers Namaskaras to Vyasa and Krishna as well. So all these 4 he offers Namaskaras in these 9 verses. And Bhagavad Gita, when he offers Namaskara, he looks upon Bhagavad Gita as Sakshat Saraswati Devi, the mother of wisdom. And he also does Namaskara to Vyasa, because of whom we got this Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. And of course, finally to Krishna Bhagavan himself, who is the Jagat Guru, who taught us this Bhagavad Gita. Now there are 9 verses. It starts with Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam. It starts with that. But what we will do is, we will rearrange the verses. I hope everybody you have this text in front of you. We will rearrange the verses and we will go slightly in a different order. we will take the 7th verse first, because the 7th verse is the verse that offers Namaskara to Mahabharata. So we will take the 7th verse first. Om Parasharya Vachas Saroja Mamalam Gitartha Gantotkatam Nanakyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitham Loke Sajjana Shatpadairaharaha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pragvamsina Shreyase. So this is the 7th verse. Here he offers Namaskara to Mahabharata, and he will take the, within this 7th verse we will take the 4th line. It says Bharata Pankajam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairaharaha Pepiyamanam Buddha Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimalash Pragvamsina Shreyase. So 4th line, Bharata Pankajam Na Shreyase Bhuyat. We can rearrange and we can identify that. We know that Mahabharata is being composed by Vyasa, and it comes as one of the Itihasas. Itihasas means, we have seen it earlier, Itihasa means historical. The Itihasa means thus it happened. Hasaha means happened. Iti means really. Itihasa, thus it really happened. These are historical events that really happened, and of course the author who writes the story will have a little bit of fiction also added here and there to make the story complete and to give us the flow of the story. So it may not be 100% truth, there could be some elements of fiction in there, but the story really happened. It really happened. So Mahabharata stories are real events, with maybe there are some slight modifications here and there. And because it deals with Bharata Vamsha, it is called as the dynasty of Bharata. Bharata, it is known as Mahabharata. And it says, so Bharata Vamsha Adhikritya Pravartam Bharatam. And this Mahabharata is a voluminous literature. It is probably one of the biggest in the entire world, because it has got 1 lakh verses, 100,000 verses, each verse containing at least 2 lines. So it's about 200,000 lines. Within that, Bhagavad Gita is only about 700 verses. So Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata, which is 1 lakh, and Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses. And he says, Bhagavad Gita, we say, Naha Shreyase, let this Mahabharata scripture be Naha Shreyase. Shreyas is a very common name now. A lot of people have this name. Shreyas. Shreyas means our well-being. It also means, we can also say prosperity. We can also say happiness. We can also say auspiciousness, health, good health. All can be referred as Shreyas. Shreyas means Mangalam. We can say Mangalam. So Shreyase Bhuyat. Bhuyat means let it be. Shreyase Bhuyat. Let it be a source of happiness. Let it be a source. Let this Mahabharata be a source of happiness. May the study of Mahabharata enrich my personality. May the study of Mahabharata transform my personality. That is what we mean by Shreyase Bhuyat. Let it help me grow intellectually. Let it help me grow emotionally. Let it help me grow spiritually. So this is what Mahabharata can do when we say Shreyase Bhuyat. And the Naha term there, Naha Shreyase Bhuyat. Naha means for us, for the students of Mahabharata. Let it be a source of happiness. And this Mahabharata itself is compared to, in this verse, it is compared to a lotus. A lotus is we know that lotus is an extremely attractive flower. Attractive because of the beauty, because of the fragrance. So it's attractive to the nose, it is attractive to the because of the good smell, and bees are also getting attracted because there is honey in it. So it is attractive to their taste also. So it caters to our eyes, it caters to our nose, and it caters to the tongue also. And therefore this Mahabharata is compared to Pankajam. Pankajam means lotus. So Bharata Pankajam. Bharata Pankajam Naha Shreyase Bhuyat. So means let this Mahabharata lotus be a source of happiness to me. That is what it means. And from this, an important idea is conveyed. One is that many people have this feeling, this Mahabharata, studying Mahabharata at home is not good for the house. Studying Ramayana is good, but studying Mahabharata is not good because it is dealing with family quarrels, and therefore if you read about that family quarrel, we will have problems in our house also. That kind of notion is there, as if otherwise we don't have any quarrels at home at all. That they have this feeling, but actually it is only a blind belief. There is no such thing as such that we should not study Mahabharata. In fact, Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana should be studied at home. There is no problem at all. It is not true that we will have family quarrels because of studying Mahabharata at home. They have this feeling that the Parthasarathi, that chariot driven Arjuna and Krishna, that picture should not be at home. Some people have this notion that if we have that picture at home, there will be problems at home. It is all false, not to be considered. So Mahabharata study, Gita study, auspicious thing, and it will give us joy. Naha Shreyase Bhuyat. And what in this verse itself, the rest of the words in this verse are glorifying the Bharata lotus, Mahabharata lotus. It is providing a lot of adjectives to this Bharata Pankajam. What are the glories? We will see. If we see the first line, Parasharya Vachas Sarojam Amalam. Parasharya Vachas Sarojam. We will see that. See, generally a lotus is born in a pond. And so the pond is the source of the lotus. So if we compare this Mahabharatam to a lotus now, the question that will arise is then what will be the pond out of which this Mahabharata lotus has emerged? And here Madhusudana Saraswati basically says, he says, Parasharya Vachasha. Vachaha means speech or words. Speech of whom? Parashara. Parashara means Parashara is Vyasacharya. See, Parasharya is Vyasacharya. Parashara is the father of Vyasa, which is a rishi called Parashara. Parashara's putra is Vyasa. So Parasharya Vachas Sarojam means the speech of Rishi Parashara's son. So it has come, the pond that from where the Mahabharata lotus has emerged is the speech of Vyasacharya. Vachaha means organ of speech. So from the mouth of Vyasa has come this beautiful lotus called Mahabharata. And therefore the mouth is compared to Sarojam. Sarojam means pond. Vachasara. So Vachasaraha means the mouth pond, the speech pond from where the Mahabharata lotus has emerged. And how is this lotus? Amalam. Parasharya Vachas Sarojam Amalam. Amalam means this Mahabharata lotus is without any impurities. It is a pure lotus. The name of lotus is Pankaja. Panka means lush. Lush means muddled water. Normally lotus is always comes from in a muddled water. So even though the water is mushy, muddied, the lotus itself is pure, without any slush. So just as the lotus is pure, though it is born in muddled water, similarly Mahabharata is very pure. Amalam. Amalam means without any impurities or without any dosha. In other words, Shuddham. Amalam means Shuddham. It is pure. It is in terms of teaching, it is pure without any defect. In terms of the language, it is pure. It doesn't have any defect. So there are neither grammatical errors, defects there, nor can be any content defects there. Therefore, it is Shuddham. And this Mahabharata lotus, he further explains, is extremely attractive. Gitartha Gandotkatam. Utkatam means prominent. Prominent. It is prominent. Popular. We can say famous. Utkatam. Attractive. You can say. And it draws the attention of all people. Why? Why is this lotus very attractive for all the people? Madhusudana Saraswati says, Gita he says, Gandha Utkatam. Gandha Utkatam because of its powerful fragrance. Gandha means smell. So Mahabharata lotus has got a powerful fragrance that anybody around will turn. And now the question is, if it has got fragrance, where has this fragrance come from? What is the fragrance of this Mahabharata lotus? And here he says, Gitartha. The teachings of Bhagavad Gita is the fragrance. If Mahabharata is the lotus, Bhagavad Gita is the fragrance that is coming out of the lotus. And he says, in fact, Mahabharata is attractive, Utkatam, because of Gita. In fact, if we see today in the world, more people know about Bhagavad Gita than Mahabharata. A lot of people probably understand Bhagavad Gita when you say, rather than relating to Mahabharata. So Gitartha means teaching, Gita teaching. Gandha means fragrance. Utkata means popular. So it is popular because of Gita teaching. And then further he says, Nana Kyanaka Kesaram. Nana Kyanaka Kesaram. See, any flower will have lot of filaments around it. That small thread-like thing, which is called as a filament, which is seen in the flowers. So if Mahabharata is like a flower, then what are the filaments of this Mahabharata lotus? Here he compares that with Nana Khyana. Akhyana means stories. See, even though Mahabharata is just one book, there are hundreds and hundreds of stories, beautiful stories, small stories within Mahabharata itself. Each one can be in its own right a separate kavya. So many stories are there. In fact, Many great Sanskrit scholars have written independent works, which is based on small stories occurring in this Mahabharata itself. For example, the story of Shakuntala. Kalidasa had written a story on Shakuntala. Abhignana Shakuntalam he had written. That is only from Mahabharata. That small portion with where Shakuntala comes in, he is used that as a separate kavya. He has created a separate kavya out of it. Like that, there are thousands of stories there, which can be compared to the filaments hanging from the lotus of Mahabharata. So, Nana Kyanaka Kesaram. Kesaram means filaments. Akhyana means small stories. So, story of Harishchandra, story of Shakuntala, we have so many stories. And there are many more that can be added to its glory. And not only that, Madhusudana Saraswati further says, Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam. See, generally lotus is of two types. One is there is a lotus bud, then there is also a well-bloomed lotus. Both are beautiful. But the beauty of bud, you cannot enjoy them unless it is bloomed, fully bloomed. When it is fully bloomed, it is more attractive. That is why even when we buy lotus from the market, we try to put our hand inside it and then spread it out so that it looks bloomed. Naturally, it wouldn't be as attractive as the naturally bloomed one. Only naturally bloomed will be beautiful. Here, Madhusudana Saraswati says this Mahabharata lotus is a fully bloomed lotus. It is an expanded lotus. And it is expanded with what? He says, Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam. Abodhitam means expanded, blossomed. Abodhitam. And through what? Sambodhana. Sambodhana means narration. Narration of what here? Harikatha. Hari means Bhagavan Krishna. Katha means stories. Stories of Bhagavan Krishna. So he says, even though this Mahabharata is dealing with Bharata Vamsha, often this Mahabharata is filled with the stories and exploits of Bhagavan Krishna. And therefore it is called as Harikatha Sambodhana. Narration of Krishna stories. And through those stories, this Mahabharata has been filled up. Further, Madhusudana Saraswati says, Sajjana Shatpadai Pepiyamanam. Sajjana Shatpadai Raharaha Pepiyamanam. See, whenever a flower is there, honey will also be there, and honey attracts the bees. The honey bees will go towards those flowers. Similarly, Mahabharata contains deep wisdom. In fact, it contains almost all the subjects on earth under the sun. Religion is discussed there, philosophy is discussed there, psychology is discussed there, politics is there, sociology is there, human relationships is there. Any science we can think of, Vyasacharya has brilliantly discussed that in Mahabharata. In fact, it is said that what is there in Mahabharata, or rather what is not there in Mahabharata, it cannot be there anywhere else. And what is there anywhere out in the world, that will be discussed in Mahabharata. Dharmecha, Arthecha, Kamecha, Mokshecha. So all four Purusharthas are discussed there. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. All things are discussed in Mahabharata. And it is not a work of any superstition. It is a live, valid treasure of our culture. It is a huge house of wisdom. It deals with every science. So it's a book of treasure for us. And therefore, he says, all the students who want to learn this are like honeybees. And therefore, Sajjana Shatpadaihi. Sajjana means Sajjanam Bhuyat, Durjana, Sarjana, we have heard. Sajjana means good people, noble people. Sajjana. People who have an open mind, where they approach the scriptures with an open mind, who have got reverence towards Shastras, towards Mahabharata. Such people are called as Sajjana. And they are like honeybees. Shatpadai. Shatpadam means six-legged ones. Shatpadam. Shat means six, padam means legs. Honeybees are six-legged. So they are like honeybees when they approach Mahabharata. They know that it is not just for stories they are going into Mahabharata. Because behind every story there is a lesson to learn. It could be a lesson on psychology, it could be a lesson on family problem, it could be a lesson on human relationship, or it could be a lesson on the ultimate truth of this creation. It could be anything. Those people, Sajjana, they go to Mahabharata like a honeybee to understand the lesson behind each of these stories. Superficially, it is a story. But if we go behind it, there is a lot of lessons to be learnt. So, Sajjana Shatpadai. And by the people, Aharaha Pepiya Manam. Pepiya Manam means repeatedly sucked. They repeatedly go back. They just don't go once. They go back again and again to Mahabharata to suck the honey of wisdom. There are so much to take that they go back again and again. They keep going back, doing inquiry into it. They analyze Mahabharata, they understand, they analyze Bhagavad Gita. They suck out the honey of wisdom from there. Loke. Loke means in this world. And when do they do it? Aharaha. Day in and day out. First they study, so they do it daily, every day. Repeatedly they do it, because they study, they get one meaning. Another time they go and study, they get another meaning. In fact, there are psychologists who study every character in Mahabharata to unearth valuable lessons on how human minds work. Study of Karna itself is a lifelong study. Karna's mind, how does he work? Why did he do certain things? What made him do that? Duryodhana is another character. We can do a long study on. Draupadi, another character. Kunti, all these characters are strong characters. They are deep characters. Dharmaputra, Bhima is another character where every character we can analyze and understand the psychology behind it. And every time we analyze, we will get valuable lessons. So, Pepiya Manam Muda. Muda means they happily drink the nectar. And then Kalimala Pradvamsi. This Mahabharata is a literature which can destroy the problem which are prevalent in materialistic universe. Kalimala Pradvamsi. Kali means Kali Yuga. The name of this present age, this materialistic age, is called as Kali Yuga. And this yuga is known for its predominant materialism. People are more focused on materialistic pleasures. People are focused on competition. People are willing to compromise. So this is Kali Yuga. Kali itself, by the word Kali itself, means fight and quarrel. So even in sports there will be cheating. There will be a lot of cutthroat competition. There will be betting. All those things. This is the nature of Kali. When there is materialism and valuelessness, There are no focus on values. And because of which our mind will also be colored by that. Because we are going in this world, we are meeting these people, so many things are happening around us, our mind will also get colored by that. So what Madhusudana Saraswati says, if we should not get affected by what is happening around us, then Mahabharata is the medicine. Kali Malam. Malam means impurity. Malam means impurity. Kali Malam means impurity caused by Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, there will be psychological, sociological problems. All those problems are there. And if we want to avoid all those problems, there is one medicine. That is Mahabharata medicine. Kalimala Pradvamsi. Pradvamsi means destroyer. Remover. Kalimala Pradvamsi. So remover of the impurities caused by Kali. The remover of impurities belonging to the Kali Yuga. So this is the first 7th verse explanation. May that Mahabharata strengthen me, strengthen my family, strengthen our society. This is the Mahabharata Namaskara. So this is the purport of the 7th verse of Gita Dhyana Slokas. May the pure lotus of Mahabharata, which was born in the lake of the words of Vyasa, the pond, which is rich with the fragrance of Gita, and which has many stories, many episodes as filaments, and which has been expanded through stories of Krishna, Hari's, Bhagavan stories, which is always drunk day after day, joyously, by the bees of noble people in this world, and which is the destroyer of the impurities of this Kali Yuga. For our supreme good, I offer my Namaskara. So this is the verse 7's explanation. Parasharya vachas saroja mamalam gitartha gantotkatam nana kyanaka kesaram harikata sambodhana bodhitam loke sajjana shatpadai raharaha pepiya manam muda bhuyat bharata pankajam kalimala pragvamsina shreyase. So this is Mahabharata Namaskara. The second Namaskara is in the first verse itself, which is the Gita Namaskara. So we'll go to the verse number 1, which is Gita Namaskara. Om Partaya Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavat Gite Bhavat Veshinim. So here Madhusudana Saraswati is addressing Bhagavad Gita as the mother. He says Ambe, hey Amba. He says you are the Saraswati Devi, the mother, who will nourish my personality, my inner personality. My local mother will nourish my physical personality by feeding me. My Gita mother will, by feeding the wisdom food, she will nourish my inner personality. And mother knows what kind of food to be given. So when we were kids, small, when we were babies, we were served liquid food, then semi-solid, then solid, all those things. Similarly, the right time, the right food will be given. The child does not know. The mother, out of compassion, will know and feed the child correctly. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita mother knows when to give the wisdom of karma yoga, when to give the wisdom of Jnana Yoga, when to give the wisdom of Upasana Yoga. So, Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga and Jnana Yoga. The different nourishment that has to be given to feed our inner personality. So this wonderful, this compassionate, this loving mother, O Gita, Bhagavad Gita, the author addresses Bhagavad Gita, Tvam anusandadhami, I meditate upon you with reverence. Anusandadhami, I meditate upon you with reverence. And this Bhagavad Gita, what is this Bhagavad Gita? He says, Parthaya Pratibodhitam. Partha means, Partha is Arjuna. A teaching which has been given to Arjuna, one of the Panchabandavas. Pratibodhitam. Parthaya Pratibodhitam. Pratibodhitam means taught. So that which has been taught to Arjuna. And taught by whom? Is not no ordinary person. Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam. By Bhagavan Narayana himself, the omniscient Ishvara, the Bhagavan himself. And because it is taught by Bhagavan himself, there cannot be any defect in it. It is a time-tested wisdom. This Bhagavad Gita has blessed the society from beginningless time. So many years back, this Bhagavad Gita has been given and it has been relevant for so many years. And we can see how Gita is benefiting us. And it will be still relevant even for future generations. So this has been given by Sakshat Bhagavan himself. Bhagavate Narayana Pratibodhitam. This Gita was given by Bhagavan to Arjuna. And how it was compiled? Who compiled it? Bhagavan Krishna did not write it. The compilation was done by Vyasacharya. Reported by Vyasacharya. Vyasacharya is also called as Vyasa Bhagavan because we consider Vyasa also to be an avatara of Vishnu. Vyasa is also considered as an avatara of Vishnu. That's why in Vishnu Sahasranama we say Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanideye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya. Vyasa is considered to be a Vishnu Rupa. And this Vyasa, what kind of person is he? Madhusudana Saraswati says Purana Munina. Purana Munina. He is saying Purana Munina. What is the most Purana Munina means, we can say Purana means old, we can say the most experienced Rishi, we can say, or we can say Purana Munina also, the person who has given many Puranas. There are 18 Puranas in our Shastras. Most of them were written by Vyasa. So we can say the one who had given most of the Puranas, or we can say the one who is a very experienced Rishi. So whether it is Bhagavata Purana or a lot of those Puranas was written by Vyasacharya. So this Vyasacharya, he is given this one. Remember, Vyasa has written so many things. Vyasa has written this Mahabharata also, which is 1 lakh verses. And for him to write this, he should have enormous hold and knowledge on the subject, on the content, on the character, on the philosophy, on so many things, on the narration, on the language, on the grammar. So he should have been an extremely well versed person. And of course, on top of it, we have got people also in our culture. We have Adi Shankara, who has done commentaries on Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, on commentaries on Bhagavad Gita and all the Upanishads. And he has been able to link up these texts with Vedas. He has been able to link up and provide context to all those things. So our culture, we have got so many brilliant people in our tradition. Remember, for us to write 2 lines of poetry is so difficult. Imagine 1 lakh verses of poetry to explain a story. 1 lakh times 2. And then apart from that, there are also, he has done also, written other Puranas also. So he is Purana Munina. This Gita, where does it come from? Where is this Bhagavad Gita within this Mahabharata? So he says, Madhye Mahabharatam. This Bhagavad Gita is occurring in the middle of Mahabharata. In Shanti Parva, Arjuna faces a crisis in the battlefield. And all that he had understood, learnt, studied, mastered during his lifetime, nothing was there to help him out. His knowledge couldn't help him, his courage couldn't help him, his strength couldn't help him, his popularity couldn't help him, his beauty, he is handsome, that couldn't help him. Nothing could help him. Krishna gives this teaching at that time. Only that could help him come out of sorrow. So Mahabharatam Madhye Purana Munina Vyasena Gratitam, one which was compiled by Vyasa, composed. Gratitam means composed. This Gita Amba, where are you? Madhye Mahabharatam. You are occurring right in the middle of Mahabharata. And this Ambe, what are you? He says, you are showering. You are showering what? He says, Advaita Mrita Varshinim. Advaita Mrita Varshinim. Amrita Varshinim. Varsha means we know rain. Varsha Rutau, we say. Amrita Varshinim. Nectar. Amrita means nectar, or that, nectar of immortality. The nectar of wisdom. So, Bhagavad Gita Amba, you are showering this nectar of wisdom. And what sort of nectar of wisdom is this? Advaitam. It showers the wisdom of Advaita, the non-dual infinite truth. Advaita, we don't even say one, because the moment we say one, there could be another count. There could be another 1 plus 1, 2. So we say Advaita. We say non-dual. So this Advaita. The truth is Advaitam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. We say Advaita Mrita Varshinim. It showers Advaita. Bhagavatim. Bhagavatim means again mother. And Madhusudana Saraswati further explains how big is this Bhagavad Gita. He says Ashtada Shadhyayinim. That which consists of 18 chapters. Ashta Dasha Adhyayinim. Ashtada Shadhyayinim. We say Shadhyayinim, actually it is Ashta Dasha Adhyayinim. 18 chapters. Ashta Dasha means 18. Adhyayam means chapter. 18 chapters. And Bhagavati, Bhavatveshinim. Bhavatveshinim. Bhavaha means samsara. Samsara means, we've seen this, samsara means this dissatisfaction with oneself. The self dissatisfaction is called samsara. Only the self dissatisfaction makes me go from one thing to another. I want to do one activity to another. Either I am physically dissatisfied, I am not happy with the color of my skin, or with my face, with my nose, with my hair, or I am not satisfied with my teeth arrangement, or with my body structure. There is physical dissatisfaction, there is emotional dissatisfaction. My children do not like me, I am not loved by everyone, that person does not like me. All those emotional dissatisfaction is there. Or there is intellectual dissatisfaction. I don't know what for I am born, I don't know what is the purpose of this life, I don't know how long I am going to live, why should I do this? There is this intellectual dissatisfaction also. So all these dissatisfaction put together is called as samsara. And what is moksha? Moksha is total satisfaction, the other extreme. The feeling of contentment, total contentment, purnatvam. That fulfillment, the feeling of fulfillment is called as moksha. And he says, Bhavat Veshinim. This Bhagavad Gita is a destroyer of samsara. Dveshi. Dveshi means enemy. So, Bhavat Veshinim. Bhavaha means samsara. Bhavat Veshinim means enemy of samsara, destroyer of samsara. Such a Bhagavad Gita I meditate upon. I meditate upon before I start the study. So thus, this one is, O Ambe, you have been given as Upadesha to Arjuna by Sakshat Bhagavan Narayana. You have been written by Purana Munina Vyasa Bhagavan, Vyasacharya. You are in the middle of this Mahabharata. You shower wisdom of nectar called Advaita. You are the mother. You consist of 18 chapters. You are the remover of samsara. Such a Bhagavad Gita, mother, I meditate upon you. I worship you. With humility, I offer my Namaskara. Remember, this humility is an important attitude. Without this humility, any Shastra that we try to learn will not stick with us. It will elude us. If we study also, we might feel that we will remember, but it will not come to use when needed. When required, it will not come to our use. Our ego is so strong. We think, I am an intellectual, I am educated. Why would I need somebody else to teach me? Why should I believe what is being said? I will always question it. I will also not question it in a logical manner, but I will try to keep finding faults in it. That attitude we generally have. That ego has so much power. That ego's power is what is being given in that Vamana shows, Vamana Avatara story, right? That small Vamana Brahmin boy comes in and he asks for 3 steps from the king. And Mahabali says he can give whatever he wants. He was just feeling too good about himself. He said, you can have whatever you want. And he just asked for 3 steps. And in 1 step, he covered the entire Bhuloka. And in the 2nd step, he covered the heavens, the upper world. Then when he asked, where can I keep the third foot? 3rd step, where can I keep? There was no place. And then we hear in that story, he kept the 3rd step on the king's head. How is that? Because when he kept the 1st step itself, the king was within this Bhuloka. It should have been covered in that 1st step itself. Then why does he need to keep the 3rd step on king's head again? Because what is bigger than this world, what is bigger than the heavens is our ego. It is the ego of that king that who felt proud that he is giving, I am giving, somebody else is receiving. So that ego is bigger than all the worlds put together. So Bhagavan basically received the Ahankara ego of Mahabali by keeping the third step on in the king's head. And therefore, thus with this Namaskara also, with this humility, we will have to submit our Ahankara. When we read this Bhagavad Gita and Shastras, we should have an open mind. We should not try to find faults. We should try to understand what is being said. If we are not able to understand, we can ask questions or we can wait until the time it will get clarified. As we go deeper into the subject, a lot of these doubts will be automatically clarified. So right now we have finished Mahabharata Namaskara. Now we finished Gita Namaskara. The next one is Vyasa Namaskara, which we will do it in the next class. So then there is Vyasa Namaskara, and then we have Bhagavan Krishna Namaskara. We will see them in the next class. Any questions, comments? Okay. If not, then we will Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.